Jesus speaking. This is not Jesus meek and mild here. Watch this. Therefore, behold, I am sending you prophets and wise men and scribes, Jesus said. Some of them you will kill and crucify, and some of them you will flog in your synagogues and persecute from city to city, so that upon you will fall the guilt of all of the righteous blood shed on earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah. Whoa, whoa. This is not Jesus meek and mild right here. He is talking to the religious leaders, not all the Jewish people, just those religious leaders like Caiaphas, right, who are actually very evil. Caiaphas was a Sadducee, and those are the line of scribes or Pharisees that, they weren't really Pharisees, but religious leaders that came from Antiochus Epiphanes, that evil Antichrist type of guy from 167 BC. And that's where we had the Maccabean revolt, right, against this evil man named Antiochus Epiphanes. He's the one that started the Sadducees. And Caiaphas, the high priest, was one of them. They didn't believe in the resurrection. They didn't believe in life after death. They were non-believers. They were like the atheists of their time. So that's what we see there. And the blood, Jesus said, the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah. So he's saying they killed, those religious leaders back in the day killed Zechariah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. So where is that? Well, here's Jerusalem. Here's the altar. You can see the smoke going up from the temple, right? This is the Temple Mount. During Herod time, or actually during Jesus' time, there's the temple that Herod built, and that's the altar where the smoke's going up. So they killed Zechariah somewhere right in there, and Jesus tells us that. He gives us insight into that. So I was just in Israel, by the way, and this is the Temple Mount. And you could see that this was built right on top of where Herod's temple was, right? This Dome of the Rock. And the altar would have been right about here because the temple was much larger than the Dome of the Rock. So the altar would have been somewhere right about here, and right where this Palestinian guy is sitting is probably where Zechariah was killed, somewhere in this area right here. And by the way, when we were in Israel, these guys would come out, if you had a group and the guy was teaching or talking, these guys would come out and they would spy, they would listen to you. It was really weird, that they would do that. But there was Israeli security forces there to protect you, which was great. It made you feel really safe and protected. So here we are. That was the trip to Israel. So here's another picture of Herod's temple, this huge temple. And here's where the altar would have been, right here, right? And Zechariah was killed somewhere right in here. And it wasn't Herod's temple. It was back, it was the second temple, but it wasn't this retrofitted one that Herod made it more magnificent. It was the one of Ezra and Nehemiah, right, at that time. And it was probably before them a little bit, but Zechariah was killed right in this area here, the prophet Zechariah. So Matthew 23 says this, and we're going to continue on where Jesus was talking right here. So Matthew 23 says, "Truly I say to you, all these things will come upon this generation," Jesus said. "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who have been sent to her." This broke his heart. "How often I wanted to gather you, your children, together, the way a hen gathers chicks under her wings, and you were unwilling. Behold, your house is being left to you desolate." That's exactly what happened after 70 AD. "For I say to you, from now on you will not see me until you say," what did Jesus say here? "Until you say, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord." Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. That is when Jesus will reveal himself to them someday when Israel says, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Just like they did on Palm Sunday. Remember that as he entered into that east gate into Jerusalem? But they will do it again, this time in a different way. They won't be crucifying him afterward. This time they'll do it because they will realize that he is truly the Messiah. And he will forgive them and he will bless them, just like Joseph's brothers were forgiven and blessed, because Joseph was a picture and a type of Jesus, right? Of Yeshua. So here is this is an image that somebody made from not the Dead Sea Scrolls, but the Shroud of Turin, which they're saying is legit. This could have been something of what Jesus looked like right here. And someday they will cry out, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And then they will remember this, my friend, out of Zechariah, as we're here in this series on Zechariah. They will remember Zechariah 12. "And I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of pleading." Grace means getting something good that you don't deserve. The ancient Hebrew word is chesed. It means loving kindness and tender mercies. That is a beautiful description of grace, my friend. And he will give that to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and of pleading. And it says, furthermore, so that they will look at me, whom they pierced. This is speaking about Jesus. They will look at me, whom they pierced, it says in Zechariah 12, and they will see his hands and his side and his feet. They will know that he was the one, just like Joseph's brothers finally realized that Joseph was alive and they were scared, but he forgives them and he shows great mercy and grace. And Zechariah 12 continues, and they will mourn for him like one mourning for an only son, right? Isn't that how Jacob mourned when he thought Joseph was dead? He mourned like it was his only son, but later he realized he was alive. But what happens with Joseph and his brothers when he revealed that he was alive, right? Saying probably in Hebrew, Ani Yosef, I am Joseph, he says to them. And what did they do after that? They wept together. They wept together. That is a beautiful and an amazing picture. And I believe that that's a picture we see in the future, right? With Israel and Jesus. So Zechariah 12, and they will weep bitterly over him like the bitter weeping over a firstborn. And later in this chapter, it says that they wept by tribe and by family together over who? Over the Messiah, Jesus, who will reveal that he is alive and that he loves Israel. He always has, and he is coming to save them and his bride, right? The bride of Christ. The Christians, the Gentile bride, like Joseph had a Gentile bride. Remember that? So did Moses. But what happens? God calls them back. What do? They save Israel during a time of great trouble. So my friend, hey, check out my book, See Jesus in the Old Testament. It's available on Amazon. It's 320 pages of all of the places where you can find Jesus in the Old Testament, including Joseph's story and others. I think you'll be blessed by it, but check it out. It's available at Amazon. Also, you can click on this playlist right here, How to Find Jesus in the Old Testament. And don't forget to subscribe down below and like this video to get it out there to the world. So click on this playlist right here, my friend.